This is the video on Module 4, Block 1 of the Innomat Learning&Training Package, created for the Raw Materials Academy of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. This video shows how to innovate your products or services in a sustainable way. It's called Eco-Efficient Value Creation, or EVC, and is a design strategy that is the key to a more sustainable world. Designs of simple chairs and the issue of the Nespresso coffee cups are used as examples. In the previous module, we dealt with the business canvas approach and the concept of the value proposition. I will tell you more on the value proposition. What are the characteristics of a green product that is successful in the marketplace? Apparently, the key is a double objective. How do you create a product with a higher value and at the same time a lower eco-burden? In fact, we will now combine the economic business canvas management theory with LCA, referring to the mission statement of the World Business Council of Sustainability as we dealt with in the first module on LCA. We have to deliver competitively priced goods and services that satisfy human needs and bring quality of life. At the same time, we have to reduce ecological impacts and resource intensity. In other words, we have to reconcile the P of planet with the P of prosperity by innovation of products and services. The value of a product is a complex and sometimes confusing issue in management science. The value is not the same as the price, since the value is what you get and the price is what you pay. The value is the use and fun that you expect after the purchase. The value for you is your willingness to pay. In normal situations, you don't buy when that value is lower than the price. The value of a product is different for each individual. That is to say, the surplus value, being the difference between value and price, is different for every buyer. When the price is set too high, there are hardly any buyers. When the price is too low, however, there is a low profit margin, where the profit margin is the difference between the costs and the price. In business practice, the optimum price is set to achieve the optimum profit. The optimum profit is the profit margin times the number of buyers. Eco-efficient value creation is part of a bigger model, the model of eco-cost to value ratio. In this model, a product has three dimensions. First, the costs, which are the costs of materials, energy, transport, and labor. Second, the eco-costs, which are the hidden or external costs, calculated by LCA from the same materials, energy, transport, and labor. Third, the value, which is the willingness to pay, being a result of the total quality as perceived by customers. This total quality is the sum of physical quality, service quality, and image. The value is the market price, which is the willingness to pay of the marginal buyer. For existing products, we can take the market price, but when a product is still in the design stage, the value is determined by user panels or customer surveys of potential buyers. Sustainability is part of the image and plays an important role in brand loyalty. However, 95% of consumers in mainstream markets are not prepared to pay more than 10% extra for green products. Given the fact that the production costs of green products are a bit higher, otherwise they'd been produced already, the issue for green products is how to sell them in mainstream markets. I will come back to this issue. A key indicator for sustainability is the eco-cost to value ratio, the EVR. This ratio is important with respect to the buying behavior of people. Given the fact that people tend to spend what they earn in their lifetime, it is of importance where they spend their money on. For example, on diesel and other high EVR products, or on design furniture or other low EVR products. This is called the budgetary approach. To improve the EVR ratio of products, the industry has to reduce the eco-burden of their existing products, designers have to develop products with a higher value and at the same time lower eco-costs, and consumers have to be seduced to buy green products at a high quality, at a higher price. This must be achieved by clever green marketing. At the following slides, this is analyzed further on a macroeconomic level, as well as on a product level. We will look at the requirements of sustainable product innovation. This chart depicts the consequences of the EVR of groups of products for sustainable strategies at the level of the EU. The x-axis shows the total expenditures of all customers in the EU. The y-axis shows the EVR of product groups, which is here the eco-cost per euro spent. The area under the curve depicts the total eco-costs in the EU. For the environment, it would be better that people spend their money on housing than on driving their cars. There are two strategies for the European Union to lower the area under the curve. First would be to force industry to lower the eco-cost of their products, and second would be to try to change the buying behavior of consumption. We want to reduce consumer spending at the high end of the curve and seduce customers to spend it on products on the left end. As an example, less driving and more housing and healthcare. On the product level, the two-dimensional approach of the EVR also reveals some strategies on product innovation. The chart shows a calculation on the eco-cost and the price of a part of the body of a car from a study of Audi. When you replace steel by an engineering polymer, you reduce the weight of the car and hence the fuel consumption at the use phase. The eco-costs as well as the cost of the polymer part are higher than the steel part, so that is negative. However, you will save fuel in the use phase, resulting in less eco-costs as well as less costs. At the end of life, the total eco-costs are less because of less fuel. The total costs are equal for the two cases. The conclusion is that this innovation is good for the environment at no extra costs. Replacing steel by polymer has a major consequence for its marketing strategy. When the whole car is made of plastics, the price would be more than double. This initial investment is far too much for a normal citizen, although it can be earned back in the use phase. A total lease concept is the only way to sell such a car, since the initial investment is then carried by the lease company and paid back in the use phase. Battery electric vehicles have the same characteristics, so are to be distributed in the lease market as well. You might think that better aerodynamics design is a better idea of sustainable innovation, since it's a win-win situation for the car owner and the environment, since the total cost is lower as well as the eco-costs. Energy savings have a rebound effect. This means that when people save money when they save energy, they will spend that money on something that causes eco-costs as well. In Germany, cars are driving faster since they have better aerodynamics. So the advantage of it is converted in being able to drive faster. In the Netherlands, people are not allowed to drive faster, so they drive more, which has a slightly better result in the figure. But the rebound effect is taking away a big part of the positive initial effect. The conclusion is that energy saving is less positive for the environment, contrary to what is often assumed. The conclusion is that we need a double objective in innovation and design: lower eco-costs as well as a higher value. The higher value has to be translated to a higher price, which is required for three reasons. Firstly, a higher value is needed to sell the new product. Modern people want a higher quality rather than a lower price. Secondly, a higher price prevents the rebound effect. And third, a higher price is needed to cover the extra costs of green products. This double objective in product innovation and design is called eco-efficient value creation. We will now look at a video that shows how a group of students applied eco-efficient value creation in design. The first example of eco-efficient value creation in practice is the introduction of the Senseo coffee system in 2001 by Philips and Douwe Egberts. In this eco-cost value chart, you see the most important elements of a cup of coffee from a classical coffee machine. The coffee itself, the packaging, the roasting, and the heating energy for a cup of coffee. The disadvantage of a classical machine with a coffee pod is that on average, you throw away more than 30% of the coffee that is not consumed. The new design was producing coffee per cup, so that no coffee is lost. This results in less heating energy per cup. The figure shows a total different characteristic in the eco-cost value chart. Because of the convenience, the value per cup of coffee is much higher. You can also see that the packaging was causing a lot of eco-costs. The reason of this was a lot of aluminium. Although the eco-cost value ratio is better than the classical design, see the dotted line, the result was not satisfactory, so it was decided to do something about the hotspot, the packaging. A redesign in the packaging with less aluminium and a higher volume efficiency results in the double objective of eco-efficiency. Less eco-cost and at the same time higher value. We will now look at a so-called product portfolio matrix, and we relate that to sustainable business strategies. The product portfolio matrix has the added value at the x-axis and the eco-cost at the y-axis. The eco-cost of a product can either be high or low. The added value of a product can also be high or low. Most of the products of modern markets have a high added value, combined with high eco-costs. This is the Quadrant A with a short-term success, however long-term no market, as explained in slide 13 of Model 1, Block 1 of this course. The Quadrant B with low added value combined with high eco-costs does not make sense. We should terminate these sorts of products. An important sustainable niche market are products with low eco-costs and at the same time low added value. This is Quadrant C. The low added value is often caused by either higher production costs compared to the non-sustainable alternative or a poor perceived quality of the product. The higher production costs are often related to lack of economies of scale or more expensive materials. The perceived quality of sustainable products are also an issue. I will deal with that issue later in this presentation. The most attractive quadrant is obviously the quadrant with low eco-costs and high value, Quadrant D. From a business point of view, three strategic directions are of interest. When your product is in Quadrant A and you do nothing, your product will gradually shift to Quadrant B. This is arrow 1. This shift is caused by ever-increasing demands of governments in terms of best available practice to reduce emissions, eco-taxes or emission allowances, which all have negative effects on the company added value. Another issue is that all of a sudden, society doesn't accept the pollution of a product anymore, so that the perceived value is damaged, causing lower market prices. Examples in the automotive sector are the Hummer and Volkswagen Diesel. Both had to terminate sales in the US. To avoid direction 1, most of the car manufacturers are gradually lowering the eco-costs of their cars, arrow 2, either by introducing electrical cars or by further reducing of emissions of fossil fuel cars, in the hope that the fossil fuels will be replaced by future bio-based fuels of the so-called second generation. These second generation fuels are to be produced from agricultural waste or algae. An interesting strategic direction is arrow 3. That is the transition from green market niches to mainstream markets. This is the transition where circular business models will play an important role. This transition is characterized by financing of the investment by leasing, enhancing convenience by service and guarantees, and enhancing the image and fun by marketing. Concludingly, there are three main long-term strategies. One is doing nothing, but that is no attractive option. Governmental future regulations will erode profits. 2 is to make current products more sustainable by eco-design. Option 3 is to add value to green products that suffer from low profit margins. Add product quality and apply product service systems like leasing, warranties, repair services, convenience, and image. Eco-design is a comprehensive method to reduce eco-costs. The so-called LIDS wheel is a sort of checklist to assess the sustainability of a design. It comprises 4 levels of improvement. The product component level, related to the materials choice. The product structure level, related to production systems, distribution systems, and energy reduction. The product systems level, related to file span, maintenance, remanufacturing, and recycling. And lastly, the user system level, related to shared use, integration of functions, and service systems. The LIDS wheel has multiple functions in eco-design. It can serve as a checklist on how to improve a current design, highlighting hotspots. It can also serve as an LCA benchmarking tool. The top level, which is the user system level, is questioning whether or not there are opportunities for a radical innovation. This chart gives a product portfolio analysis of 300 ml ketchup bottles, glass as well as PET. The value in this chart is the price in the shop, excluding the price of the ketchup inside. The value of the bottle is higher for the PET than for the glass. Note that this value is related to the willingness to pay. It has nothing to do with the production costs. The high value of the PET bottle is mainly caused by the fact that the PET bottle is squeezable, which is convenient in cases of high viscosity products. Although the eco-cost of PET per kilogram is much higher than the eco-cost of glass per kilogram, the eco-cost of a PET bottle is lower since it's much lighter. This is the main reason that the EVR of the PET bottle is much lower. But we must recycle as well. For every country in Europe, the percentage recycled bottles is different. In the Netherlands, the recycled percentage of glass bottles is about 90%, which can be regarded as a practical maximum in the EU. The recycled percentage of PET bottles in the Netherlands is about 50%. For these practical percentages, the eco-cost of both bottles are the same, but the EVR of PET is lower and therefore better on macroeconomic level. The willingness to pay of a product is without any doubt influenced by the marketing of that product. Be aware of negative and positive connotation in green product branding. I already talked about the doubts of people that may have on the quality of green products, which is confirmed by many customer surveys. But another aspect is the connotation of sustainable. NGOs like to enhance our wrongdoings by showing horrific pictures. This is good for the awareness, however it's not good when you try to sell a green product, since people will feel bad when they are confronted with the problems of pollution. With a negative feeling, people will not buy a product. In the shop, you should build on the positive connotation of a beautiful nature, since people feel good when they think about nature. In such a way, I will feel happy with my green product that I just bought. So, connotation is extremely important in marketing, since every buyer wants to be happy with his or her purchase. There are 3 issues. Awareness building is important, but leave that task to the NGOs. Make buyers happy with the idea that they do something positive with regard to the conservation of Mother Earth. You should also emphasize the quality of your product, also in branding, as will be explained in the next sheet. Successful green marketing requires a careful strategy to avoid common failures. The do's and don'ts are: Do not label a product as green in the shop, since it will attract less buyers. Do emphasize product quality in the shop to counteract the negative green image on quality and to allow for a higher price. However, enhance green aspects in product branding, since that supports the feel-good emotion after the purchase at home, which generates so-called repeat buyers. This relates to the theory of Jacqueline Ottman. She distinguishes between two types of benefit for the customer. The personal benefit, which is related to the customer perceived quality over price ratio, short term, and the environmental benefit, related to the issue of eco-burden, long term. The personal benefit plays a major role in the shop. The environmental benefit is important when we're at home. With all the information of this course, you can apply the EVC method and you can redesign to your own product. Since you will be confronted with many design alternatives, you might use a Pareto analysis to select the best proposals. The step-by-step procedure is as follows. 1. Calculate the eco-cost of your existing product, which is the reference. 2. Redesign your product with the LIDS wheel and determine the eco-cost of it, which is an iterative process. 3. Determine the value of the product, which is the product quality plus the service quality plus the image. 4. Optimize your value proposition and check your business model. 5. Check whether there are other product service systems and business models that can meet your client's needs as well. 6. Repeat step 2 to 5 until you are satisfied. 7. Select the best solution in the EVR matrix, applying a choice in the so-called Pareto font. What is the Pareto font about? In a one-dimensional system, you have the best score in benchmarking. In a two-dimensional system, however, you have not one score as the best, but you have a Pareto font, which is a line of the best scores. The solutions at this line have in common that there is no point that has a lower eco-cost combined with a higher value. In other words, each point at the Pareto font has no better point in terms of the double objective. The future optimum profit potential line takes into account that the solution might score less good on the x-axis when the eco-costs become internalized, and therefore the eco-cost must be subtracted from the value. Therefore, it's a 45-degree line. Details are described in Appendix 6 of the book on eco-efficient value creation. I come now to Assignment 7. Load the IDMAT Lite LCA app in iOS or Android. Look at the instruction video 2 at www.idmatapp.com. Make the felt tip LCA Module 1 on this app to learn how to use the system.